Sifter for the ear.
News, interviews, reviews, cinema, TV, streaming. Action!
Hi y'all, this is Jerry Williams, aka TV Jerry. In May of 2022, I featured director Corey Choi talking about the film he was showing at the Richmond International Film Festival entitled Esme, My Love. Corey just let me know that the audio poem he created, titled Aisha, received a Gold Anthem Award in the category of Civil and Human Rights. This is especially honorable considering it was awarded along with world-changing organizations like the World Central Kitchen. I'll include a link to the original podcast and the new audio poem on the webpage for the show at tvjerry.com.
What do you want? I care about you, you know that.
Care about me like you care about a friend or a cousin. That counts.
What are you doing?
I just want to know.
Well, it feels like a trap.
I'm not trying to trap you. I just want to know.
What do you want me to say?
I just want the truth here.
The truth about what?
Where your head's at right now.
Where my head's at? Can we leave?
I want to finish this conversation, Pen. What are we doing here?
Having a very cryptic argument in a parking lot.
I mean for the last 5 years.
That's a clip from this week's featured film, The Trip, and we'll be referencing it several times in the upcoming interview. That couple is headed on a weekend getaway with friends, and this scene launches their relationship discussion. This week's show spotlights another first feature. This one is from recent VCU graduate Lindsey Paulette, and she made it right after graduating. It'll be screened free as part of the ICA's first film series on December 1st at 2 p.m. I'll include a link on the website for this show at tvjerry.com.
Sifter Review of the Week.
The Day of the Jackal on Peacock. Eddie Redmayne takes the title role from Frederick Forsyth's novel and previous movies. He plays a hired assassin who's elusive with his schemes and disguises. Meanwhile, a British intelligence officer, Lashana Lynch, tries to track him down. Redmayne once again creates a character with an assured presence. He's continually compelling. Lynch handles her straight role with skill. Both characters have been given families, which challenges the immediacy of their work with their personal life. This series is produced in a traditional style without any fancy narrative or directorial flourishes. There isn't lots of action, but it's peppered throughout. The series is smart and well-crafted enough to keep it engaging, including some nice plot twists. Actually, Redmayne is so good you don't want him to get caught, but he is a cold-blooded killer, so he needs to be brought to justice. There are 6 more episodes, and I'm looking forward to finding out what happens. I gave Day of the Jackal 4 out of 5 stars. Lindsey Paulette, you're getting ready to premiere your first feature film, but you started as an actor. Why did you pivot to film, and when?
Yeah, so I started acting around age 7 for the stage. I was just one of those kids that had a lot of pent-up energy and was wanting to perform all the time. And so my mom signed me up for something where I could do that with other students that felt the same. And I did that for like 7 years. And just one day I was in the middle of an audition. I was around 14 years old, and I just became hyper aware of what I was doing in that moment. And ever since then, I've had horrible stage fright.
Okay, great.
So I just decided that acting wasn't for me anymore because I didn't see myself being able to get over that hurdle. Started working in production design and building sets at my high school for our shows and stage managing and stuff like that.
And where was that?
I went to Manchester High School in Midlothian.
Okay, right here in Richmond.
Yep. There was always something that was really interesting about film to me. And I'd been writing scripts both for the stage and for the screen since I was really young. So I knew I had that interest in film. And I liked my film scripts more than my theater scripts, just stylistically. So I decided to do film.
And where did you go to get your degree?
I hopped around a lot. I was really good academically as a kid, so I decided I wanted to go ahead and get my bachelor's degree. I transferred to SCAD.
Footnote.
SCAD is the Savannah College of Art and Design.
And then COVID happened. So I didn't want to pay the in-person prices for online. So I moved back and transferred to VCU. And I finished out my bachelor's degree in their cinema program.
So you graduated in August 22, and you've already made 12 films?
Yeah, I had started working on personal projects my freshman year of college. So my first short was released in 2018. It was the summer in between my freshman and sophomore year. And I was averaging about one or two short films a year after that.
Your latest film, the one that's going to be showing at the ICA, is called The Trip. So, what was your inspiration for your trip?
Yeah, so I had written one of the scenes for a class. One of the notes that I got from my professor was that yes, you satisfied the prompt, but it does kind of feel like it was the small piece of something bigger.
What scene was it in the short that ended up in the movie?
It's the scene of them in the parking lot and the gas station.
And speaking of cars, I noticed on the car tag and from the poster that it was shot in Wintergreen in 2022, right?
Hmm.
What was the connection? Did you know somebody that had I know that actually I interviewed a guy last year, Justin Geltzaler, who shot his first independent film that played at the Richmond Film Festival, and he had a friend who had a cabin in the woods and they shot the whole thing there. Was that kind of how you developed into this, or did you go looking for a cabin?
Yeah, so I grew up visiting Wintergreen a lot as a kid and just always had really fond memories. I knew that it was pretty in the fall. I would have taken a cabin anywhere, but that was specifically an area we were looking for because they have the pretty outlooks as well, which we ended up filming at. But I didn't know anyone with a property there. So I ended up going and finding a house that I liked on Airbnb. And I know you're not supposed to film in Airbnb, so I reached out
But you're
to
not the first one, believe me.
well, I did get permission.
Oh,
I
good.
reached out to the woman that owned it because we wanted to, it was pretty expensive. So we wanted to take a look at it first and make sure it was going to work for what we wanted. And so she let us come by and we chatted with her. We took some photos and she gave us the okay to film there, which was really cool. We filmed and lived there for 9 days.
Oh, wow. I just have to mention this, it's kind of silly, but the lead's name is Penny. Where did you come up with that name? That would have been my name if I'd been a girl.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I want to say that was the first name that I landed on for that character, and I ended up sticking with it. Sometimes I'll change them, but this one felt correct.
Yeah. Now, speaking of names, I noticed that some of your sponsors you shot in Sidner's store. Actually, that first scene you mentioned was shot there, wasn't it? Outside of their store. And then later you had sponsors of James River Equipment and True Timber. There were no trees coming down in the movie, and I didn't see any big cranes. So why did those two? Were they friends of yours, or how did you get them to sponsor?
Yeah, so for True Timber, my aunt's cousin owns that property, and they let us film the scene where they're walking through the woods is not in the mountains. It's actually just at True Timber.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. And then James River Equipment, my DP and one of my co-producers, his mother works for James River Equipment, so they gave us a little bit of money.
Speaking of your DP,
Surprise guest drop in.
Oh my goodness.
yes,
Footnote.
Joseph Puccio has worked with Lindsey on many of her projects, including The Trip. Joseph, welcome. She was like, oh my goodness. So she was surprised. And ironically, she just said my DP's mother worked at James River Equipment. So it's a perfect segue for you to show up.
Oh, that's great.
Joseph, tell us what your relationship is to this movie.
I was the DP and also co-producer with Lindsey on it.
How did y'all get started working together? What created this chemistry?
We met at VCU, actually. We both transferred, so we were in a small group of transfers. We both went to like different colleges first and then came to finish our schooling at VCU. Within that small group, found each other, and Lindsey brought me on to like the first short film I ever worked on was a film she was directing.
Lindsey, what does Joseph bring to this for you?
Is definitely a little bit more like focused on the visuals than I am. I consider myself to be an actor's director. And obviously I understand that the visuals are important, but it is really nice for me when I'm working with a DP that's like so invested in the visuals that if I have to like, I don't have to split my like time 50-50. I can give like 80% to my actors and then 20% to the visuals because Joseph's going to make sure that it like doesn't look ridiculous. And we do a lot of prep. So usually by the time I get to set, I've already talked to Joseph about the visual stuff and then get to spend most of my time with the actors.
Joseph, what would you say the biggest challenge was for you on the trip?
We had a amount of money that we had hoped to raise. We did not reach that amount. We reached a fraction of it. Yeah, I'd say that was probably the biggest thing was just, I guess, like the lack of money, which led to the lack of resources. But, in the end, I look back at it and I'm like, that's something I will always cherish working on the trip because it was just like so much fun. Like everyone who was there, the cast, the crew, it felt like a very communal thing and everyone was just there to like make art and make something fun. And I think that really reflects in the movie, just that we were there for the love of it. So
I've interviewed many, many filmmakers, and money will always be a problem, Joseph.
yeah.
What are you working on, by the way? Is it something you can tell us about? Is it a
Yeah,
spot?
I mean, it's a buddy, Rob Vaughn, who actually was a big part of making the trip happen. You guys might know Rob Vaughn.
I do know Rob.
Yeah, he's a gaffer in the area. As far as the trip goes, he gave us a really great deal on a lot of gear. He believed in us and believed, shout out to Rob Vaughn for really helping us a lot. We're doing a Capital One commercial in DC. We do a lot of Capital One shoots, but
Right.
we're in the DC building right now, and yeah, it's cool. It's been a good day. So
My website, when I started it, it was called Tales from the Grips. The second banner I had was two guys with their butts showing and their grip belts on.
yeah.
And one of those butts, and I think there may even be a little crack, was Rob's. So you'll have to tell him when you go back in there, hey, Jerry Williams said he had your butt on my website. He'll enjoy that. No, give him my love. I haven't seen him in 100 years since I've been retired, but tell him I said hey.
Yeah, I definitely will. He'll be excited to hear about that. So
All right, Joseph, thank you so much. Have fun up there, and I'm sure I'll talk to you again.
yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for having me. See you, Lindsay. Love you.
Tell Rob I said hello.
I shall. Bye.
So, Lindsay, let me ask you that same question. Besides money, was there something that was the biggest challenge for you?
I mean, everyone was so great. I feel like, yeah, the biggest issue was the money. I was very stressed about feeding people and making sure that people were comfortable. Because we were living where we were shooting, I ended up playing like house mom a little bit.
Right.
It was stressful as well because everybody would be like chilling out for the evening, and I'm worried if the dishwasher got unloaded and like if we cleaned up after, because we made a lot of our meals together, which was really fun and felt like part of that summer camp experience that people are always talking about with sets. The fact that our living space was also our shooting space and all of our stuff goes into the living room, but then now we're done with the kitchen and we're shooting in the living room, so all of that stuff's got to move into the other room.
Right.
And I was sharing a room with like 5 other girls, and just like a lot of things that were fun at the beginning that started to get a little stressful towards the end because you're never alone and days are long. The money really was the biggest thing because I ended up putting so much of my own money into it that there was a lot of like added stress of the turning down the jobs, because not only am I not taking jobs and taking opportunities, I'm now also losing a lot of money on both sides of the spectrum. And I was at the beginning of my professional career, so I didn't know if I was ever going to hear a call again if I kept turning down these gigs. And I
Sure.
was turning down so many. I mean, we shot for a month straight. I was worried I was not going to be able to get myself back onto these sets when we were done.
That could happen. Yeah, yeah. Since you said you lived in the same house and it was a group, did you have some time to rehearse with them or anything to build that intimacy or to build those relationships so that they felt comfortable with each other, or did they just have to jump in and go?
We definitely did some prep. So we did our casting in May and we filmed in September. So the first round of auditions were online, and then we did chemistry reads in person, which was really important to me. I'd never done in-person casting before just because of COVID and because all my short films before, I always felt like a video was adequate. But this time I really wanted to do in person since the relationships were so important in this story. And then something that I like to do with all of my actors is I do a complete like analysis breakdown of my scripts right before we get ready to shoot them. I try to look at it not as the writer, but as the director, which is like sometimes hard to do.
Yeah.
And I take all these notes and I share those with my actors. And then after they've had a chance to read through it and kind of come up with their own stuff, I like to meet with them one-on-one and really discuss the characters, discuss how they feel about the other characters. And like, I didn't necessarily come up with the motivation for the specific thing. What do you think would be the reason that they behave this way or why they would say that? And just having those conversations. And then any rehearsing happened on set. I didn't always initiate it. Sometimes it was one of my actors coming up to me and saying, hey, I'm not sure exactly which direction I want to go for this particular scene. Can we run through it? And because the other actor was right in the other room, I could be like, hey, let's read through this together a few times and talk about if there's any disconnect. But we didn't do too much rehearsing because they all had a really firm grasp on their characters and their relationships with each other. And because they were living with each other, it was really easy for them to hop onto these scenes and like really be like the best scene partners for each other. That's a lot. I heard so much conversation about that in between scenes, is them just like congratulating each other for being really strong scene partners and giving each other a lot to work with.
You mentioned the script there, and I hadn't actually asked you, what was the genesis for this? I know you did the one scene, but what was the genesis for the whole thing? Was this a relationship that you had been in, or a friendship that you knew, or did it just come out of your imagination?
It was a culmination of things. Like, I was in college when I wrote it, and that time period, everything feels very dramatic at that point in life. And I'd been in a couple of relationships myself that I did not base any of this off of my personal thing, but more so stuff I observed with friends, and kind of like that heartbreak of not even necessarily when you break up with someone, but how that breakup affects people in a group. It can sometimes feel like not only are you losing a partner, but you're losing like all these friends that came from that, all these other relationships. And like, I don't feel like that's explored enough.
Now, I noticed there are only a few minor little kisses, so I don't know, did you have an intimacy coordinator for those, or did you just work through that?
We didn't. We discussed it. We didn't have the budget for it, but instead it was more so a thing where myself and one of my female co-producer talked about how we were going to plan out the blocking really specifically and ahead of time, and we were going to have the closed sets. We were going to check in with the actors, kind of taking all of the things we picked up from different courses and just making sure that people were comfortable all the way through. And it was a little bit more intimate initially in the script, but because we didn't have that coordinator, I wanted to keep it as like bare minimum as possible, just because I didn't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. I didn't want to like act beyond my depth and assume that I was going to be able to shoot these things comfortably. Right. And I think it ended up working out for the best, just because their relationship's so new and so awkward that I kind of like that they're not like all over each other all the time.
Right, yeah. Speaking of the cast, were they all required to be able to jump off a cliff into some water before you would cast them, or did you just break that to them later? And
we did ask. We asked in the callback if they could swim and if they were comfortable jumping from a height. So when we got to the actual waterfall, everyone ended up being comfortable except for Zoe. So we were able to kind of cheat her in the water, and I was not super confident about how that would look. I think it ended up looking fine in the final edit, but everybody else did end up doing the full jump, and we did have a safety person on set for that.
Good. So what is your goal with this film?
Yeah, I mean, for myself and most of the crew, I mean, with us just being straight out of school, it was like the ultimate practice. Basically was the biggest goal, is to prove that we could do it and know that moving forward a feature is not something that we're incapable of doing, but also just giving everybody a chance to be in a leadership role on a feature film. I mean, we'd done a ton of shorts. I don't know, it just seemed like such a big thing to tackle, and I'd made so many films before then that it kind of just felt like the next logical step. But I mean, I would love for it to be a calling card of sorts for not just me, but Joseph, and for some of these actors and whoever wants to use it as like an example of here's what I'm able to do. And yeah, if it leads to more work, I am very happy with that. I'm trying to get another project off the ground, and we're going about it a little bit more traditionally, which has had its challenges, but being able to kind of lean on this film and show people, well, I've done it before. So
yeah.
You know, if you give me a little bit of help, then I don't see any reason why we can't do it again.
The next one is Beyond the Fence. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yes.
I just saw the new Joker movie, and my biggest complaint in my review was that they were smoking in almost every scene. They glamorized it. You had smokers. You're okay with that? I mean, you know, these days we don't have to model that behavior. Smoking a joint's fine. But smoking the cigarettes, was there a reason you allowed them to smoke cigarettes, or did you want that in there?
I mean, there really wasn't a reason for it. I mean, the main thing was I wanted it to be this thing that the two leads shared, where it's like he has this bad habit, she doesn't like it, and it's like kind of a joke between them. And then also later when he's talking to Adam and he's smoking the cigarette and he's saying, oh, the reason is, you know, I should stop, Penny doesn't like it. And that kind of being like an inside joke, and giving Adam the chance to realize what's going on. And then it goes right over his head why he would care about what she thinks. So it was more of a plot device than anything.
So Beyond the Fence, what is it and what's happening with that?
So Beyond the Fence is a script I actually wrote when I was 16. It's seen many developments since then, and now revisions and changes towards the characters mostly. But it's a feature-length script. It's also a novel. And right now we're kind of working on advertising that and building an audience around the book to ideally turn it into a film down the line. And I'm working with one of my actresses. Zoe is actually one of my like development producers with me right now. And we're trying to figure out how people used to do it and how to get like studios interested or investors interested. It's been a lot of social media and marketing and grants and a lot of stuff we didn't deal with on the last film because we sucked it up and said, we know we're going to make this for like hardly any money. But it's been good. We shot a concept trailer for it and that was really fun.
Is there anything about the process or the movie itself that you think would be interesting for people to know that I haven't asked you about or we haven't discussed?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, the biggest thing that we've been doing since it released back in February was we're going to schools and talking to high school students and college students about how they don't have to wait for permission to make a film. This was our not waiting for permission film, and just trying to encourage people to do it. We're in a weird spot in the industry right now where not a lot is happening and it seems impossible to get anything made. And I don't think that, especially early on in your career when you're not looking for perfection, it's a reason to not make a project. And that's just kind of been our messaging after the fact, that we didn't really think about while we were making it. It was just something that kind of occurred to us the last year that we were doing posts. And then with this release, that it's like, wow, more people could do this. And we just want to kind of like reinforce, especially for soon to be graduates that are like not sure what to do afterwards.
So was the cast all local? Were they Richmond based or Virginia based at least?
We did say we wanted all Virginia casting in our call. 2 of them were from VCU, so we were going to school with them at the same time. One of them was actually supposed to be on the crew originally, and he decided he wanted to audition, and then he killed the audition, so we cast him.
Which one was that?
That was Jacob. And then one was a theater kid that I had never met before. And then Zoe was based in DC at the time. So I had worked with her previously on a short film, and I just thought she was amazing in that film. And so before it was over, I told her that I was casting for a project and that I'd love for her to audition, and she did. And she blew it out of the water like I knew she would. And so ended up casting her as Penny. And then our Harper, she's based in Virginia Beach. And I actually don't remember how she said she came across our casting call. I think her agent might have sent it to her. And then Asher/Adam is based in North Carolina, and he lied to us and said that he was local to Virginia. We called him back. He drove all the way to Richmond for his callback. And before he started his callback, he told us that he was from North Carolina, but he thought that if he drove all the way up here and showed us that he was willing to act as a local, that we would give him a shot, and he was correct. So we still joke about it today. He's a really good buddy now. But yeah, he's our one non-Virginia local.
And you know, it's interesting. Back in the day when there was no self-tapes and all, I'm talking about way before COVID, Wilmington was a big hub for shooting a lot of movies. And actors from here, they would drive that, 3 or 4 hours to do a 30-second audition and then turn around and drive back. So yeah, that does happen with that. The screening is coming up at the ICA. I assume you're going to be there for a Q&A afterwards?
Yes.
And when you're not working on a project, it seems like you just won't stop. What do you do for fun? What are you watching on TV or streaming or movies?
I mean, my fun ties in a lot with what I do for work, which I'm very fortunate for. It's like the line is very blurry. I do enjoy just like going out and hanging out with my friends, and I'm kind of introverted, so I prefer like at-home game nights kind of things and going to the movies, dinner and stuff like that.
Is there a movie or a TV show that you've been watching lately, or a genre that you go to?
Yeah, I just finished binging Abbott Elementary, and now I'm waiting for the new episode to drop, which I think is coming tomorrow.
Yeah, that's always fun. We've seen every episode. It's a lovely show.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. A lot of really bad movies on Hulu that they get like 30 minutes through and decide it's not going to get any better and turn it off.
Hulu's pretty bad with their movies. They never seem to have very good movies there. Anyway.
Yeah.
Lindsey, this has been great. It's exciting for you, and it's exciting you're going to have your premiere at the ICA, and I hope you have a big crowd for it. And we'll have a link, of course, on the webpage for the show for TV Jerry. So thanks again.
All right. Thank you for having me.
That was recent VCU graduate Lindsey Paulette talking about The Trip, the feature film she made right after graduating. It'll be screened free as part of the ICA's first film series on December 1st at 2 p.m. I'll include a link on the webpage for the show at tvjerry.com.
Coming soon. In theaters.
Hollywood is hoping for a repeat of the Barbenheimer phenomenon with 2 new blockbuster openings this weekend. They're calling it Glicked. This is a combination of Wicked, the screen adaptation of the musical, and Gladiator II, featuring Paul Mescal. Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Spy, Assassin. This was supposed to open last weekend, but it's due this Friday. It follows a pacifist pastor, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who preached love while plotting to assassinate Hitler.
TV and streaming.
The Piano Lesson on Netflix. This is a third August Wilson play that was recently in theaters and is now streaming. Denzel Washington produced it with his son Malcolm directing and his other actor son, John David, in the film, along with Samuel L. Jackson and Erykah Badu. Outlander on Starz. This penultimate season concludes with these 8 episodes. Joy on Netflix. This biographical drama chronicles the efforts of doctors to pioneer IVF, starring Thomas McKenzie, James Norton, and Bill Nighy. Spellbound on Netflix. This animated musical adventure takes place in a magical world where a princess must break a spell to save her parents and the kingdom. Our Little Secret on Netflix. Lindsay Lohan is celebrating the holidays with her new boyfriend when her old beau shows up. It turns awkward when she discovers that they're siblings. Next week's show will feature David Noble, a Northern Virginia filmmaker whose latest self-produced film was called Secret Within the Sphere and has been renamed Future War. This is Jerry Williams. Thanks for listening.
For more Sifter, including literally thousands of reviews,
visit tvjerry.com.
That's a wrap.